What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Crime 101, or Crime 101, however you want to say it. It's up to you. You live your own life. You get to make your own choices. This movie stars Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Halle Berry, Barry Keoghan, Nick Nolte, Monica Barbaro, Tate Donovan, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Corey Hawkins. I don't know. That's it. It's enough people. It's a pretty stacked cast, full of people in it that just overflows. It's released by Amazon MGM. They did put this theatrical and then took it to streaming, so it's now available on Prime Video. And it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's long as shit. It is just obliteratingly long, and it does not justify it. It doesn't feel good. It's really brutally long. Somebody watched Heat and was like, I can do that. And then, no, they can't. They cannot do Heat. Sit down. I know this is like an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Listen. It's not an original story. It's based on a novella. So I don't know if we're getting excited about original stories. This is not original. This is clearly heavily leading on everything that came before it, stylishly and everything. It's got a great cast. That's true. There's a lot of people in here. That doesn't necessarily make it a great movie. We don't immediately look at films and go, oh my god, there's a cast here. Aloha, nominated for Best Picture. Like, so I don't quite understand. I'm trying to see the positives. Chris Hemsworth is actually given a role here where he can act, which he rarely ever is. Unless it's a comedy where he gets to stretch his comedy chops. But like, I liked Michael Mann's Black Hat more than I did this, and he's in that. So I would much rather see that again than I would ever want to watch Crime 101 again. So even though like nobody saw Black Hat when it came out. Ruffalo, of course, is better than everything that he's ever been in. The fact that he just did Task just makes this character feel even less enthusiastic. Barry is better than in everything, nearly everything anyway. Barry Keoghan feels like he got this role offered to him before he became an Oscar nominee. And it's because it's not as flashy or as cool as a role, but it's one of those like really intense roles, and where he's like just sort of manic and angry the whole time. Just he's got a lot of like really intense scenes to it. I don't know. Nick Nolte here is doing his Nick Nolte thing. Um, Monica Barbaro feels like the kind of rising star role that she would get here. So there really isn't anything here that's like, wow, thank you. The film centers around, I'm going to go with Mike. I don't think it's Mark. I think it's Mike. It's Chris Hemsworth. And he is a thief who cleverly pulls off these heists. And after he's grazed by a bullet at the heist at the opening of the film, he decides to start sort of looking for his last score, the one that will be enough to cause him to retire. The guy that sort of works the criminal enterprise from behind the scenes, played by Nick Nolte, is, you know, he owes Nolte, and Nolte's not super excited about him walking away from the job. So Barry Keoghan, who's been following him around, he kind of tells Barry to, watch Mike and try to figure out where he gets his information from, how he gets the heists and whatever. So that happens. Meanwhile, you have Lou, played by Mark Ruffalo, who's a cop that has a shitty marriage. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't really have any purpose to it. They have Jennifer Jason Leigh come in for like one scene, And he's like, we used to love each other, didn't we? Like, why is this even necessary in this film? Sometimes I want character development, but also at the same time, the way that the characters are developed are not is not great. So, like Chris Hemsworth, great with prostitutes, not great in love, type of thing. Like he ends up in this car accident thing with Monica Barbara's character. She plays Maya, who he takes a shine to, and wants to ask out on a date, and maybe this will be his, I gotta go back for her type of thing. I was feeling very much like The Town too, where they were trying to show us that Chris Hemsworth might be like the good one, right? The Ben Affleck of the group. Um, and that this was, they were going to do sort of like this type of relationship, and this was like the Ben Affleck Rebecca Hall thing from The Town. Uh, then you have Halle Berry that comes in here, and she plays like an insurance agent, who ends up getting in on the act because she's told she's 53, and that's why she's not making partner, because she can't pull in the clients anymore by her clearly creepy old boss. And I've seen some people roll their eyes at them, and they're like, ugh, gender politics. I'm like, yeah, except for this kind of thing happens, which is why it ends up in movies. There was like the substance. Remember, like the whole thing was Dennis Quaid's character was like 50. Ew. You know. Um, but I mean, it's Halle Berry. She's timeless. I'm sure she still looks great. I haven't seen her in since I went blind, but probably looks exactly the same. Halle Berry and Paul Rudd just don't age. Um, so she ends up giving Chris Hemsworth what he needs for this job so that he can fuck over Tate Donovan. it's That's sort of the movie. I don't know. It's convoluted. Yes, there's more to it, but I'm trying to give you like where the movie's going without giving you much of the. Even though there's nothing, I was so bored. There are a couple cool scenes here. There's a car chase, um, through LA. I think the film utilizes, and from what I've heard from the gaggle of Los Angeles film critics, is that the film utilizes the Los Angeles area well, in that they felt when there was construction that there was actually construction that they deal with on a daily basis, instead of making it seem like the roads of Los Angeles were just wide open for everybody. So the representation is solid. If I'm still in the positives, I do like when Hemsworth is offered decent roles where he can act. This is a decent role for him. It's just he's kind of boring. They just kind of, his interpretation of acting is to just remove personality from the role. The thing about Hemsworth is that he has a charm and a charisma about him that is lost here. His character is not that charming or charismatic. If anything, he's a lot more closed off and reserved in this movie. So when Maya comes in with Monica Barbaro, she's like, I'm thinking about, I just didn't quite pick up on any vibes. He's socially awkward. He doesn't have any great, charming Chris Hemsworth moments here. And I don't understand why they would hold that back. Like, that's the reason you cast Chris Hemsworth. It's like casting Channing Tatum and then having him just like stand there and not say anything and just be like, can you just not talk, please? Some of these people, like, they have this effortless charm that comes through their performance, and it's about, if you're a good enough director, you can shape that. But it just kind of felt like somebody just kept yelling at Chris to be like more lethargic, and that was his interpretation of being a dramatic actor, was, well, this is what drama is. It's being, I'm here. Are you falling asleep? Like, what's happening with you? Ruffalo he's in these late stage cop things where he's the smart one. Ruffalo has always been the guy who's always like good at playing like the smart guy roles, the smart ass roles. Now he's in these like nearing retirement cop roles, and he got in like Task, and he's in Crime 101, where it's like, where's my career gone? Like, I don't know. Um, Barry's fine in this. Her character doesn't make any sense, but everybody feels like that they're an archetype that doesn't really go anywhere, that was meant for something, and they're very limited. There are a lot of character things that they open up, but they don't really finish doors that they open, and they're like, what's behind door? Do you see what's behind? You want to go behind door number one? We don't want to go behind door number. We're going to show you what's behind. No, we're not going back there. So you end up getting this like weird sort of suggested relationship, like between Lou and Sharon, Halle Berry's character, that comes through at the end, which feels like unwarranted and ungratifying and unpaid. You know, I didn't get that at all. The choices that are made there, like, where did this even come from? Nick Nolte just disappears instead of ever coming back to him, and like, he's probably like the most clear cut bad guy in the film, and then they never come back around to him to like be like, but and here's your reckoning. Mwahaha. And they're just like, I don't know, knew he was here. No, he's not. Is there a sequel that you're planning to this? Crime 102? Please no. You know, like, I hope not. Um, Keown, again, I mean, his character, it's good acting because it's like he's had 10 Red Bulls, and he's very twitchy. I mean, it's a good performance from him, but it's a very one note character. He doesn't really have a lot of depth. We never explore him, actually, to the detriment of the fact that um, he doesn't even get a character name for like the majority of the film, if ever. Actually don't even think he got a name. I think he was like America Ferrera and Barbie. I think he dies like the motorcycle man. Like, I think that's his. He's just like guy on motorcycle. You know, like that is his. That's his whole thing is. And this is one of those like testing things for audio description in terms of um, the whole like how willing are you to to deal with this? Like, if no name is given, how well are you willing to let this thing go? I hate this idea with audio description that we don't get names. It drives me up the fucking wall. Like, well, the name wasn't said. Is it in the credits? Do we have credits? Is there IMDb? Can we look it up? Because having people described like they're the man behind the counter, like the whole movie, is driving me insane. Chris Hemsworth is described as the handsome man for like the first at least 30 minutes of the movie. We don't find out his name is Mike until he texts somebody, like a solid 30 minutes at least into the movie. And it's problematic in and of itself. So here's the thing, dear audio describe team. So I recognize the voice. I think we have some good people here. I think there's probably a writer here that I like, but so we're running up the great chain of the Bible, right? The audio description Bible of choices that you're supposed to make. You're not supposed to use a character's name if it hasn't been used already. So then you end up having to describe them. But apparently Chris Hemsworth has no other descriptor other than handsome. The problem with that is that it's an objective term. So now you're having to use an objective term, which you're also not supposed to use in a descriptor to describe Chris Hemsworth. Because what is handsome? That's not really a descriptor. If you were like the handsome man and the sexy woman, that doesn't really say anything because that's just one person's opinion. So now you've used handsome man to describe Chris Hemsworth. What am I supposed to do with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't have just been better to just use fucking Mike? I mean, he says his name later on in the movie anyway. Like, why? What is the. Why? Why are we dying on these hills all the time? All the time. It's really driving me insane. Like, I really want to shake the industry and be like, stop. Just stop. Just stop doing this thing. I know There's a guy, I hear him all the time, I know who he is, and I know everybody just looks to him and goes, my God, are you the Jesus of audio description? And he loves this shit. He loves the whole, like, no, we don't use the name until it's been said in the movie. Yeah, no, that. Not that. This is what ends up happening is you end up getting a character and you're like, well, how do we describe him? I don't know. He's just kind of like a basic ass white guy. Fuck. He's really cute though. He's kind of sexy. Can we call him the cute man, the sexy man, the handsome man? I don't know. What do we call him? Tall. I mean, there isn't really a descriptor for Chris Hemsworth unless he has, if he isn't given something like the where it's clear and it's obvious, like the blonde haired man, the long haired man, the it's something. Chris Hemsworth is really just kind of a basic ass white guy. I mean, if you give him sort of like a normal hairstyle and just kind of he's just sitting there and he's wearing kind of normal basic clothes, or it changes, can't really go with the clothes, because what if he changes his clothes, because it's going to take you forever to describe him in the movie. So we get handsome man. So then the people who are like, I don't like interpretive audio description. I don't like when people make these things and it's objective. So then those people are upset. So you really haven't won anything, because you pissed off the people by not giving us a name, and then you pissed off the other people by saying handsome man. So you've lost like 2/3 of the people who listen to audio description by either choosing the word handsome or by not using the name. So I just don't really understand what the objective was in the description with handsome man. And Barry Keoghan, I think, goes the whole movie without ever having a name. He gets America for a head in this. It's a hill that I've been fighting on and dying on ever since America Ferrera made it through the entirety of Barbie being described either as her job or her relationship to her daughter, who was named. So she never gets her name is never said. She made it all the way to an Oscar nomination without her character ever being named in audio description. Yet her character has a name. It's one of those things, like when you think about it in your real life, this is why I hate this. You end up talking to people all the time and having natural conversations with it, but you don't always end up saying their name. Like, how many times in a day do you end up saying, if you're really close to somebody, you end up saying their name? You just kind of flow in a conversation with your friends and family. A lot of times, just by looking at somebody or looking at somebody's direction, you don't have to like get their attention by saying their name. So a film can be structured in a way where a character, a well-written script, doesn't have that person's name just being dropped. I feel like if we introduce this plight to writers of Hollywood, that they would suddenly just start dropping names earlier in the film, just because they'd be like, this is annoying. But yeah, handsome man. That's what we went with for Chris Hemsworth. So no, I didn't even like the audio description track, and I think it's probably deluxe. I'm gonna guess based on the voice that I think it is. Sounded like it was William Michael Redmond or Jared Barton. Amazon does not want me to watch credits sometimes, and they're just like, "What's the next movie? Can we get you into?" It's just annoying. Yeah, this is it's a heist movie that forgot to steal my. It stole my time, but it didn't steal my heart. Here we go. It stole my time, but it didn't steal my heart. I really don't understand why critics like this. It's like, watch Heat. You know what I'm saying? Watch The Town. Watch literally anything else that this is clearly pulling from. These characters feel like they are derivative of things we've seen before, with relationships that aren't really fleshed out, that don't really go anywhere, with things that don't really make sense. I mean, I think people are so starved for this type of a movie that they want this sort of like pulpy crime thriller, that they're just like, oh, please God. And because this one cast a whole bunch of competent actors in it, I can't say it's not well acted, because it is. There's my greatest problem here is that Chris Hemsworth is just not used to his full effect. That they're just kind of like, can you just bring your whole vibe down, please? Can you just, you know, just to go way back? Just don't tone it way down. It's way too long too, and if we're not going to invest in the characters, in if the characters are not enriched in ways, it's funny because it's like I needed more from what they seem to think are important relationships to be developed, but then I got things like Mark Ruffalo's wife that I just don't need. She never needed to be in this film. I love Jennifer Jason Leigh, but I don't know why she's here. No idea. Like, I don't know. It doesn't do anything for the movie. It doesn't help anything. It's a useless scene. I think this is the kind of film where if people wanted to have fun with it, we could probably get a whole bunch of people online just putting up Crime 101 edits that are like easily a half hour shorter, and you'd be fine. So, and tighter, and it would feel like the pacing was there and quicker. And anyway, Crime 101. Um, I'm sorry. I just did not like this movie. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. We're gonna go with that. So it's rotten for me, and yes, it has good actors. That does not inherently make it a good movie. Um, we deserve better. These actors deserve better. The direction is kind of blasé, and there were choices made in the audio description I just didn't like. Just flat out thought were bizarre. That the choice to, it's you're rocking a hard place, right? And then but then you actually chose to smash into the rock or the hard place. And so instead of, you saw a hard place and you're like, ah, we're gonna drive into the rock then. And you went with Handsome Man. I don't know. It's not great, but that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.